Greetings and welcome back to Emperor Rise of the Middle Kingdom, Strategic Sage here. We are moving on to the second of the historical dynasties in the game, the Shang, and here's what they say about the city-states of Shang. The end of 400 years of Xia rule resulted in the rise of the Shang dynasty. During this period, powerful warlord kings used wise seers to predict the future, based on interpretations of cracks in fire-heated oracle bones. Many of these predictions were then etched into the bones, planting the seed for a written language. Elaborate bronze wares were cast and used during important ceremonies to pay homage to ancestors and heroic figures. Take this path to walk in the footsteps of the Shang. And they are hitting on a couple of important historical developments during this dynasty. The development of writing and advances in bronze working.
During the time of the Xia, our people learned the art of farming and settled along the fertile banks of the northern rivers. But the self-indulgent kings of Xia grew fat and lazy with power and lost touch with their subjects. Cities attacked cities, and barbarians burned our fields. But the people were not forgotten by all, for in the distant province of Shang, a bold new leader, Tang, came forth and vanquished the pitiful Xia. The victorious banners of the Shang now flutter in the breeze over the capital at Xiang. To strengthen his base of power, our new king wishes that new towns be established. It is for this important endeavor that you have been appointed. Build a new settlement at Bo. Fill the town larders with meat and millet, and the noble Tang will see to it that the settlers arrive. Do not be surprised, however, if you receive a few requests from Xiang for some handcrafted ceramics.
Okay, so our objectives aren't that severe. 600 people in spacious dwelling or better, 12 crates of ceramics in a year. There is a bit of a step back at this point, because they don't assume that you've gone through tutorials, so I would say this one is probably between Banpo and Erlitou in terms of the complexity and the challenge of it. And a lot of this fluff here is just that. It's fluff, and it's kind of a bunch of nonsense for the most part. The Xia dynasty, we don't even know if it existed. We don't know how the transition happened. All of this stuff about the kings growing fat and lazy and being attacked by barbarians, etc. I mean, tradition does hold that the first Shang leader, Tang, was someone who was definitely benevolent and kept his eye on the desires and needs of the people, but we have no idea what happened there. And of course, I mentioned before, the writing that does come about in the Shang dynasty, none of it makes reference to the Xia at all. So all of that is out in left field a bit. And then also, build a new settlement at Bo. Well, actually, the tradition says that the capital was moved to Bo early on when Tang came to power. So this is not something that would have actually been built new. This is a settlement that already existed. But nonetheless, we will not quibble any further over that. Let's proceed. And taking a look at our larger situation, we have the two cities mentioned, capital at Xiang, and then we are here at Bo. And if it looks to be a fairly similar location to where we were before, that's entirely appropriate. A lot of the sites from the early Tao culture and the Shang dynasty really overlap. The Shang dynasty ones tend to be a slightly more to the north of the Yellow River as opposed to the south of it, but they're very close by and they're intermixed. And the time frame here is appropriate as well. The best estimates that I was able to find on this, the Shang dynasty period was about 1600 to 1100 BCE, as most we can determine. And it is definitely the first verifiable civilization in China. We have literally over 100,000 artifacts from it. So it's not a question of when they existed, or if they existed rather, but some of the specifics around that. Now, the total area, it's not all of modern-day China by any stretch. It's probably around like this. It's about estimated that it grew to the size of 1.25 million square kilometers. Now, to put that in perspective, that would be roughly the 20th largest city, or nation rather, in the world today. Similar to, for example, Angola, or to Peru. So it's a substantial amount of territory, probably comprising dozens of different cities and settlements. So this is not just a couple, three communities that banded together. This is a fairly wide-ranging and somewhat complex civilization that we're dealing with forming here. Now, we're not actually given any instructions, it not being a tutorial mission anymore. If we take a look at our goals, yeah, the same briefing we saw before, but the messages have nothing. So you've just got to figure it out on your own. Well, what do we have available? We don't have military. We don't have government. Again, it's stripped back some from what we've been seeing. Sort of starting at square two, if you will. And if you didn't play the tutorials, it's nice to have it not be overwhelming in that initial scenario. So, in the industry area, we have clay and kilns for turning clay into ceramics. That's it. Agriculture, we've got hunters' tents. We have millet and hemp, and that's all. So 2 food sources, which, of course, we can't go above spacious dwellings. It's not a hugely evolved housing boom that we're going to be seeing. In terms of the water table, it's really good down here by the river, as you might expect. Some rocky areas interrupting it, but good down here, good below the river, although that might as well not even be on the map for our purposes. Up here towards the top, not the greatest, and then we've got rocky areas in the hills on the northeast and the northwest. Not much we can do with those. So this area up here that's clear but not good for farming, we're going to use that for our housing loop. And not a lot of good places, due to the openness, for our inspector's tower. There's a few over here. We're going to place it up here by these rocks, and that'll be the anchor for our housing loop, per usual. And then let's stretch a road along here and see about our housing. So up here, not the best. Some good, some bad, but if we slide down this way, it's much better. So, spacious dwellings. And we can attain a population of 600 if we build 15 of them, because there's 41 people allowed in the spacious dwellings once we get there. So 3 rows of 5 plus the 2 on the end will give us 17. And I think it's useful to build to just slightly more, but about the amount that the scenario is calling for, instead of going crazy with it. Because it's usually balanced for that. Like, we started at 4,000 cash. If we would try to build like 25 housing initially, we'd never have the resources to support that with the limited funding that we have. And going on the Pristine very hard approach, there's only so much that you're going to be able to fit in and still turn a profit before you hit debt. So I'm going to run this road out to the main drag, as it were. Immigration's going to come in from this direction. And I want to use the one type of housing, or rather residential wall, that I haven't done yet, which is the brown. And I'm thinking about possibly using this for elite housing in the future, which also, by the way, you notice we don't have any of that either here. I just think this looks a little bit more dignified and sophisticated than some of the other kinds. So if we make this open to market employees, we'll be good there. And let's get some agricultural buildings going, but also water. That'll be important. Turn off the inspector's tower. And, okay. We are going to want a hunter's tent for initial food supply. And let's get some farmhouses rolling. One for millet over this way. Just back from the road. And one for hemp. We'll place that down here, sort of gapping this. Should be fine. Perhaps there. And I think with that, we are ready for the people to come in. And while they're doing that, I'll throw up my fields. I think I can get away financially with building a full set, although it'll be close.
There are plenty of opportunities for honorable labor in this city.
Yes, everybody who wants to can go work at the well. That's the sum total of our opportunities for labor. Of course, there will be more. February 1606 BCE. We are founding the city that should already exist, but nonetheless, the city of Bo is underway. Okay, let's turn that on. So we have inspectors, we have a well, and we're going to have hunters in a minute as soon as we get the proper labor force for it. Okay, I think we're ready for our next inspector for the mill that we're going to get. And as we build up our roadblocks, I want to do something which I think was a really good suggestion that was made, and that was sort of to abuse the mechanic of the roadblocks, or rather the residential gates. Yay! Because if I put one of those here, I can control traffic better than with a roadblock. And this one we're going to be closed to market employees so they don't come out this way, but open to building inspectors. So that way our inspector can come up here and inspect the market square. I mean, it looks a little weird to have a gate over the road with no walls going either way, but should work for us. We have some meat ready, we have labor ready. What we don't have is the mill itself. So it won't actually work right next to this. I have to put it one square down, but that's fine. And that takes us down to pretty much even on labor for the moment. We do, of course, want a food shop. Lots of labor coming in. Good, good, good. Let's get our ancestral shrine rolling. That'll work. Still plenty of labor. Now, we're not quite at the point of needing to farm, but we're really close. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw them in there. We could start working on a ceramics area down here. We're not going to get very far with it yet, though, so we'll just wait. And we're not really going to be able to do a whole lot until we get some food out and start bringing in some more people. There we go. So we're moving up to the plain cottages, and yeah, there's not much food, so we're just getting bit by bit here. Ah, Shang is ready to interact with the world. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to them then. And we're just going to straight up ask them about trade. Now, we do have, the hemp is already nearing its harvest time. There's no point in trying to throw labor into that. So I will now begin working down here. We're going to put an inspector's tower to govern our industry area. Shorten that road because I actually want it to come up this way. And that's all we can do for the moment. But we will look for more activity here in a bit. Once we get more labor. And off goes our emissary.
I feel uneasy about moving to a new city.
Well, that's not the emissary. That's more immigrants.
It is with much honor that I am off on another mission
Chez
for the
Kanye.
well-being of our great city.
And our vendor. Everything working well. We need a few more people. There we go. Okay, so let's get a clay pit rolling. As the food is being distributed now to most of our housing. Of course, we have nowhere to put the ceramics yet, but, one thing at a time. We do now have enough people for a kiln. And they do agree to trade. Excellent. Now, I don't have the labor to actually do that yet. I actually want to throw up another clay pit before I do another kiln. So I want to get some clay supply going. We're short one worker. We thought we had enough a bit ago. Okay. Fine. We'll turn off the clay pit. And I probably should, before I get too carried away, build a watchtower. We do have the labor for that. Okay, there we go. Now we're back down to the point where we'd be one person short on the clay pit. We will actually get some more labor in here, though, once... Yeah, the peddlers go back because they don't have any food. So it's just taking a little while for our hunter's tent to build up. But I don't think we're going to need more than one for this size of a city. So I'm just going to wait for that to play out. There might be a lot of unrest now, but I think our soldiers will handle that. Okay, we are up to 14. Reactivate you. And so it's just a gradual growth here at the moment. See if we make it up here and get these houses some food. Well, we got one of them. We ran out again. So I think that's everything in here, is it not? Yep. Okay. So we're going to turn labor off there then. Let's head back over here and grab... a couple more kilns. That'll put us just short on labor. But not for long. Do have more people coming in. We'll shut off this one for now. So that we can work on getting some place for all of this to go. So, not Inspector's Tower. I want the warehouse. I pretty much have to throw it all the way here across town, as it were. There we go. And you can connect up. How are we doing on... Okay, we're good on labor. Barely. Actually, just put the roadblock right there so that it doesn't go past. So I want to store up a dozen ceramics. Because Shang is going to ask for some. And maybe I'll want some for... giving for homage or whatever. By the way, we have Nuwa and Shen Nong, and they're not feeling too happy about things, of course, because we haven't given them anything yet. We don't have Huang Di for that. So another step lower in complexity. Yeah, well, we don't exactly have the time to deal with entertainers yet, do we? So just chill out. We'll get there. Seven people unemployed. And I think we're looking pretty good on these, so how close are we? 81%? 37%. As soon as you're done, I'm going to want to shut you off and switch over to working in some kilns, I think. Just a bit of labor management. Yep. Turn you off. And we're going to turn you on. So basically hauling the clay over here, but they'll bring it back. And I think our labor... Yep, we don't have any more housing than we can bring in. We can't afford to up the wage rate. So this is about the best we can do for now until we upgrade our housing, which is going to require hemp. They'll remind us of that if we forget. It is worth... You're probably already doing it, but just making sure you stay at plain food. We've got plenty of food supply now. We're starting to build up a backlog at the mill. And you are about to actually activate. Willing to buy more hemp. Well, we don't have any yet. But nonetheless, I think that's just basically a reminder of grow hemp. No, really, grow hemp. We want you to grow hemp. So, let's get started there. And 2 loads. 4 loads. What do you have? 40% and only 1 load. Yeah. I think I'm going to turn you off. Does that give me enough labor? Perhaps? I think it does. Yes? Okay. I'm going to stick with that. So we've got the 2 kilns still whirring away. Of course, the hemp has a long growing season, so that is one bit of a drawback. And I think I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to turn you off and activate this kiln. Just because we've got a surplus of clay. Let's sort of churn through that. And we are sitting here with... Okay, 5 units of ceramic. So we're starting to make a stockpile. Grabbed a bunch more food. It's going to be July soon. Now it is. We want you to be on, and I'm sure that's going to short us on workers. Yep. So let's see. Who is the farthest from being done? Probably that one. Yeah, they all just finished a load, but we'll knock you off, and you for now. Since you only have 1 load left. So we'll just run the 1 kiln. And we're going to want it eventually anyway. So let's go ahead and throw up a hemp shop. So that when we have some, we can do that. Now I only want 4 on my hemp that's going to come here, because I'm going to sell the rest. But I don't think I have the labor yet. Definitely don't want to spend the labor yet. To put up the trading station. Okay, we have an emissary from Shang. Well, isn't that nice? And I think this is a, this is your first real basic scenario. So we're going to hand you some money and make sure you survive everything. So that's a nice little buffer that we're going to now have. I'm actually going to spend some of that. I mean, why not? I'm going to build walls around the rest of this. Let's leave some space in case maybe we want to build something on this north side. So maybe we come over around like this. There we go. Makes the hunters walk around, but you know. And now they say, hey, give us 3 crates of ceramics. And it's not a subtle request. Sure, why not? That's what we're stockpiling it for. Now we're down to 5. We had 8. And since they're unhappy here, I'm not comfortable yet with throwing out some of our... Well, I could probably throw game meat their way. I'm sort of debating whether I want to throw game meat or ceramics, but we're gradually bringing in the game meat. I think our food supply is good. I'm going to just throw the game meat and see if that does enough. Yeah, upgrades you to neglected. You're not going to be super happy with it. But, yeah, okay, we just got another bunch in. We're bringing that in regularly. I think we're going to be okay with it. And now we are harvesting the hemp. Excellent. So I'm going to turn you off for the moment, so that I can throw up the trading station, which will fit very nicely down here. Same inspector can hit it as is going to hit the mill. And then we're going to sell any hemp and ceramics that we don't need. And for now, we should be able to bring in some hemp there. And get some income. Along with, of course, possibly upgrading our housing once they start selling it in town, let's hope. And as soon as they drag it all out of here, of course, we can resume our ceramics work. Oh. Del Juan thinks more highly of me than I did before. I actually don't care. And we're going to turn that off, and back on we go here. And still at neglected, so not horrible there. Alright, now we're getting another housing boom as everything upgrades to attractive cottages. They want music. Let's give them music. That'll work. And they're probably also going to need herbalists, now that I think of it. See what that does to our labor. Still got lots. Time to upgrade. You're turning on. And you're turning on, and that's just for now. Ooh, we're actually short 3 workers. That's very temporary. And you're actually done? It's actually not officially saying that the season is over. No, it's over. Yeah. You're turning off. And you can turn on. We're almost ready for another one. So, really should be able to expand well here now. We've reached 500. All of that is good. Yep, another kiln. We're going to do this a little bit higher even. We're going to build another clay pit. And eventually a couple more kilns. Are we up to spacious dwellings? We are. How are we doing up here? Can I evolve until they kill them? Fine. Some of them are evolving over here anyway, but let's just throw a row of gardens over here. I don't think I'm going to need to build anything out that way. There we go. Now you can all be happy, not complain, and more importantly, bring me more labor so that I can build more pots. No, I do not wish to hold a festival. I'm not that confident in my food supply, not when we're growing like this. 2 more kilns? I think that's where I'm going to stick with it. I think that's going to work well for us. And how are we doing over here on ceramics? 900. I think that's enough. Let's go ahead and throw 4 of them. Well, we have a good amount of millet. Not that good of an amount, but I'll throw that at you instead. Yeah, you're contented. Okay, we'll hang on to the ceramics. I keep thinking I'm going to need to throw them at Nuwa, but I actually don't need to. So in terms of our goals, We have indeed reached that one, and I think the next year... we did 11 crates of ceramics. We gotten one more last year, we would have finished. But we didn't. So I think at this point, we just sort of waited out until we built all the ceramics. Because Bo is... I'm reasonably happy with this. Well, it is July. We have actually started selling ceramics, but we're going to have to slow that down a bit now because Shang wants 5 more crates. Fine. We will go ahead and do that. We'll replenish them. We've actually reached the point on labor where it's even, and we have been, running all year round with people at both farms and still able to sustain the entire ceramics industry. And the clay pits are having trouble keeping their distribution even, so one of these kilns is off part of the time. But still, it's all going reasonably well. And we will, with that many kilns operating, we'll quickly replenish this and start making more money again. We're not making a ton of money, but we're making enough for a profit. Closing in now on our victory announcement. We're back to selling more, even though I did hand Nuwa a few stacks of pots to rectify that situation once more. Of course, did a lot more good than the food offerings did, and we're building up that supply again. So, we should be about done here.
The town of Bo thrives. As town architect and administrator, it is a job well done. So well done, in fact, that even King Tang has heard of your management skills. Now it seems he has need of your valuable services elsewhere.
Excellent. So we have successfully begun the Shang Dynasty. Several more challenges await in the Shang time period. And that story will continue next time. Thanks for watching.